A miracle is considered to be an event that you can explain as some kind of mystical intervention of a higher force. What do you consider to be a miracle? How would you define it? A miracle is that which we can observe but can't explain. If we don't observe it, then it doesn't exist. Meaning, it could be somewhere, something, but we don't observe it. So we need to observe it. That is the first condition. The second condition is that we can't explain it by our ordinary corporeal explanations, meaning and whatever is in our hands, in our science, etc. It's considered to think that a miracle is something that can only happen with religious people that have the tendency to see godliness in any manifestation of whatever happens. But studies show that miracles happen more often to people that feel that they're in existential threat. It could be some kind of political or economic instability. By the way, if previously it was thought that people with no education had more of an opportunity to feel a miracle, studies show that no, they have those that have education have the same or equal opportunities. But first of all, we have to clearly define what is a miracle. If we take a little child or a simple common person and we'll show them something that is not, that doesn't fit their perception of nature altogether, they'll consider it to be something out of the ordinary, a miracle, meaning something that is beyond the boundaries of their perception, day-to-day perception. So first of all, well, it's like you said, what people observe and can't explain. So there are plenty of such events going on around us that we can't explain. Or we give them some kind of explanation, but actually, I don't know. I don't know how to put it. We have very few explanations for occurrences, for the different occurrences that happen to us. In the next moment, if something happens, I can say that it's a miracle. Do I clearly know what I'm expecting? No. And if it happens, there is no clear definition of what a miracle is. Either it is some event that it is unknown to me, or unexpected, or that it's out of the ordinary from the point of view of my ordinary, according to my ordinary perception, or it is an event that is, in terms of science, it's completely out of the ordinary, but tomorrow it could be. What do we call a miracle? Well, obviously that it's not something objective, but subjective in relation to man. And it's interesting that people for several thousands of years are creating different lists of miracles. Well, it especially has to do with different natural phenomena, or the first to do it was the Herodotus, the Greek historian. He made a list and others were added to it, but it could be, as I've already said, some kind of archaeological structures like the Chinese wall, which is a miracle, or some Olympic whatever, or some kind of natural occurrence like volcanoes, etc. What natural phenomena for you is a miracle? What natural phenomenon? I don't know. I can't say. Did you ever experience a miracle? Well, yeah. Something that you can't explain logically. No, well, as a result, I further on understood. And a miracle is something that is beyond our classical perception of things? Well, something that goes against the laws of nature. Against the laws of nature, I have nothing. Nothing. Meaning that if it doesn't coincide with the laws of nature that I've studied, then it means that it's necessary to add them to the laws of nature. Well, suppose were you to see a person who's flying. It's a miracle. Would that be a miracle for you? Well, yeah, actually. If you can't explain it scientifically, then yeah, it's a miracle. Well, all these lists of miracles were always the typological number of 7. 7 wonders of the world, 7 this, 7 that. What is it related to? Well, 7 is a kind of magical as if number that points out that it is supernatural. To the right, to the left, up, down. You have 6 directions in which we are encompassed in, like in a cube, and 7 already sticks out. So this is a symbolic number. And it defines something that is beyond the boundaries of our world. You know, people's inclination to believe in miracles is explained physiologically. Scientists found out that the irrational thoughts in our brain, there is a certain field responsible for it, and there's another field responsible for its correction. But the thing is that for millions of years of human existence, we told each other different myths and stories in order to explain different phenomena. And science exists only for a few hundreds of years, and we're trying to explain things logically, but nonetheless, it's something that's already immersed in us on the genetic level to believe in miracles. Do you think so too? That it's a kind of physiological inclination to believe in miracles? Man wants to believe, wants to perceive, grasp, feel that which is beyond the boundaries of his perception. And therefore, he listens, looks, tries to breach the boundaries of what he feels and senses. And therefore, all miracles draw us that way. From your point of view, is that good or not? It's good. It's human quality. A person does not run away from it. He's trying to approach it, to understand it, of course, if it doesn't threaten him or... Well, it's not about understanding. Simply a person understands miracles, not even trying to explain them. He simply has a tendency for it. Well, this, of course, depends on his calculations. What does he want to achieve as a result of such an attitude toward miracles? I wouldn't say that we need to be afraid of miracles, that we need to run away from them somehow, limit them, position them in some religious frameworks. We simply need to search for some kind of realistic scientific explanation of all the things that seem to us as miracles. How do you relate to biblical miracles like the splitting or tearing open of the Red Sea, the 10 plagues, man from the heaven? For example, now it's Hanukkah, and it's known to everyone the miracle of Hanukkah. There's the miracle of the Exodus from Egypt. The source texts call it that way. They call it a miracle. There are people that believe in these things. There are people that are trying to prove that, yes, these things happen. How do you relate to these miracles? I relate to all this as Kabbalists do, that actually there are no miracles in the world. All miracles that seem to us as miracles are natural are natural phenomena that can exist under certain circumstances, even within the boundaries of our world, even though that the Bible, the Torah, doesn't say that it goes on in our world, but it speaks of the qualities of the upper world. The entire Torah speaks of the qualities of the upper world and what happens to people when they attain these qualities. But according to the law of root and branch, this is something that we've already talked about. These occurrences could have happened. Yeah, a higher root, upper root, needs to at least once appear in its lower corporeal branch. But what's written is as if against the laws of nature, it's supernatural. Like what? Because we understand that the sea can't split. There could be tide, etc., but look, somewhere something happened somewhere. So what happened? No big deal. No need to try and dig out some explanations from under a rock. It was supernatural. It happened once, suppose, but it happened. But it could have happened. Therefore, the sea itself doesn't interest me. And how did that group of Jews cross on the seabed of the Red Sea? Doesn't interest me either. The inner content of what happened is what interests me, that they've crossed the border, the boundary between the land of evil and the land of good, between Egypt and the promised land. So if I correctly understand, suppose the 10 plagues, these are some supernatural occurrences. No, not supernatural. They're not supernatural. They simply occurred within the boundaries of our world in a certain time, but actually the Torah doesn't talk about that. It's not about that. They could have happened, but the Torah talks about something completely different. How does it all occur inside a person? Altogether, the Torah speaks of a person's inner world. And Egypt, and Pharaoh, and Moses, and all the desert, and Mount Sinai. It's all inside a person. His attainments, experiences, spiritual ascents and descents. This is what the Torah talks about, and therefore, I'm not trying to drag this entire biblical story by the ears and try somehow, like a director in the theater, to act it out on some stage. Yeah, but it's very important for people to understand if these things did occur, then everything that is said there is true. A person wants to understand, is it true or not? I'm not trying to prove it by lowering the Torah from its spiritual degree to a corporeal one. Then how do you examine whether what it says is true? That I myself can ascend and attain it. To make for myself this entire act in spirituality, in my spiritual depiction, and not in that it will be once again materialized in the splitting open of the Red Sea, etc. So, if I understand correctly, for you a miracle is to come out of Egypt from the ego, meaning that when a person comes out from within the boundaries of his egocentric desires, and not that these occurrences that might have happened, but they might have happened or couldn't have happened. For me, the entire story of what the Torah tells about, it tells about a person's spiritual ascent from the degree of the ego to the degree of love towards others. Well, atheists, they don't believe what it says in the Bible because they don't believe in God. No need to believe. For this, you don't have to believe. You simply have to see could such concrete changes happen to a person? But at the same time, atheists believe that the universe was created by chance, randomly, and out of nothing. So in this case, in order to be an atheist, you have to be even more of a believer than a believing person, that everything came out of nothing, etc., etc. Meaning, to demand certain kind of belief. Well, this is something that isn't proven, unwise, can't be any kind of scientific data that you can reject or not. How do Kabbalists relate to supernatural occurrences? There are no supernatural occurrences. They don't exist. What do you mean by supernatural? Tell me, what is natural, up to what level, and from what level does the supernatural begin? I'll tell you that everything that exists within the boundaries of our egoistic appearances or occurrences is called natural, because for us, this is natural, and anything that is above our egoistic qualities is called supernatural. That's it. And all of nature, whatever it could be, since it is all reflected in what we depict, see, imagine, envision in our forces, emotions. Therefore, that's how it's divided into natural, that which we have now, possess, that exists within us, and supernatural, things that maybe don't yet exist in us, but tomorrow will, or some people have, and for them it's natural, and for us it isn't yet. For us it's still supernatural. It's all in relation to man. Contemporary people have lost the ability to be amazed by miracles. Is this a problem? No, to the contrary, it's very good. They stop believing different nonsense that as if can occur by itself within the boundaries, framework of our corporeal world. They saw that anything can be done, anything that is accessible to our sciences, and therefore there's nothing to be amazed by. Shut your eyes, open them again, look at the world, and you'll see that it is as it was. In your blog, you write that you don't believe in miracles, and that man himself performs miracles. What miracle does man perform? Man, by working on himself, creates a certain environment around him that helps him, with the help of the forces of nature, to come out of his own qualities, nature, of his egoistic desire to pull everything and be fulfilled by everything, to an altruistic desire of relating to everything with love and bestowal. And this is the transition from Egypt into the Sinai desert. This transition is a transition from our world, corporeal world, lower world, to a higher world, into the quality of from the quality of reception into the quality of bestowal. Do Kabbalists have some supernatural forces that they can express in our world? No. No. These are things that only appear inside the Kabbalist, within him. Well, maybe some abilities. When a person's engaged in the wisdom of Kabbalah, he actually draws upon himself the positive forces of nature that are studied in the wisdom of Kabbalah, by the wisdom of Kabbalah. In this way, he, to some extent, helps all people and partially himself to be well, to correct the ways of his life, have a better life, but actually it's all, meaning he doesn't do it on purpose. No. He doesn't need it, and he doesn't even want to use these abilities, even if he has them. Like those that you call supernatural. He'll never use them for some kind of petty, temporary goals. Is there a kind of connection between miracles and prophecies? Between miracles and prophecy, a prophet is a person who is simply exists, and his qualities are above the egoistic qualities of our world, and therefore he sees the future development of the world. So if a person, foresees certain things, like you said, that the corona is going to stay with us for quite some time, and can we call this a miracle or a prophecy? No, it's simply feeling the laws of nature. There are no miracles. So you feel something that other people don't? Well, just like a grown-up person feels more than a child, understands more than a child, and therefore in relation to a child, he can warn him and explain it to him. But for a child, it's a miracle, but that's it. We all exist within the boundaries of nature, and only the different levels of its achievement, attainment, dictate all these levels of prophecies, knowledge, wisdom, etc., etc. It said that on Hanukkah, there was a miracle. The oil that could burn, there was enough oil for just one day, and it burned for 8 days. Could that have happened in the corporeal world? In our world, there are many different options for such events, occurrences. The thing is that it all depends on how do we relate to them. And of course, that which happened on Hanukkah was a miracle. If to look at it from a corporeal point of view. The thing is that no one can repeat it. Of course, you don't have the same conditions. But would they exist? And you could repeat it. If you could perform miracles, how would you use that? I'd sit quietly and shut up. You wouldn't have performed miracles? In no way. The world doesn't need them. But it would have been proof that your method is correct. Proof to whom? To people. No person could have later on no one could correctly realize it later on. So miracles are to the detriment of human development? Yeah. Otherwise, it would have been possible to make such miracles here, such a theater. But as a result, no one would have been better off as a result. Just a few more religions would have appeared. Did you experience any miracles in life? There are no miracles. It's simply that when you rise to a higher degree of attainment, you understand that these are natural occurrences, only that on our level you can't see them. And if they appear, then we call them a miracle. But when you haven't risen yet, you consider that to be a miracle? Yeah? Kabbalah is the revelation of the Creator to a person in this world a miracle. It is a miracle. It's not some spiritual, it's not some scientific law. When it happens unexpectedly, and it's a miracle. And how's that felt by a person? It's felt by a person as a feeling of new natural qualities in him, in himself. So he thought about something, about himself, and suddenly he starts thinking and caring about others. And he sees that this is somehow kind of miracle, because actually that's impossible, but it happened, and he calls it a miracle. Happens to him that which previously didn't happen, and he understands that what is happening comes from a higher degree of the attainment of attainment, and he calls it a miracle. What connection is there between luck and miracle? Many times I heard you say that in order for there to be a miracle, like the revelation of the Creator, you need to have luck. What's the connection? I'll tell you. The connection is that luck is when a person has the right direction toward his future, and if he directs himself toward that correct future, then what happens to him is a miracle. So you need luck. Yes. Need to have luck. Okay, thank you very much for being with us. Today we talked about miracles. Until next time, we wish you a miracle of the revelation of the Creator. Thank you.